Hello, I am back today to show you the new Uber mat by UberChic Beauty. You probably already know what these mats are. They're to give you a nice safe space to do your nail art, but not just a protective surface for your nail art so you don't mess up your, your table here and end up with your husband threatening divorce. Like, I'm sure that hasn't happened to anybody, especially not me. You can also use this as a tool in making your nail art. So, a lot of these mats have spaces like this where you can make decals, and one of the improvements that she's done here is she's given you a whole bunch of different nail shapes, so you can pick the nail shape that best suits you. So mine are square, so I'm gonna probably stick with these here, but if you have more of a squoval, you can go with that. A couple of different kinds. This is even maybe a little bit more on the square side of squoval than a flat out kind of oval here. Unlike the other previous one where the nails were just white, here you get some black ones, so you can play around with darker colors. You can right away see, like, with your darker colors, if you're gonna have a dark base polish, you'll know like how your stamping polishes and things are gonna look on that, so that's really handy. Same thing like on the previous mat, she had a couple spaces for playing around doing nail art, freehanding, and here she's got 3 spaces. 2 of them are black, so again you can play with testing out polishes and things over dark colors, so stamping polishes, or if you're going to do a certain kind of hand-drawn nail art, you can practice it here and see how that's going to look over your darker colors. So I really like the flexibility of that. You've got a ruler, so you can measure anything you need to measure. If you're trying to freehand stuff and you want to make sure it's going to fit onto the size of your nail, this is going to allow you to be able to do that. Same thing, like maybe you shrink a design and you want to be able to make sure that it's still going to fit within the size that you want it to. This will be able to work there for you. This, I think, is a really great addition. I think this is really cool. This is a freehand guide. We all have a hand that we write well with and a hand that we do not write well with. So one of the cool things about this is you could, if you want to do your initial on your hand, like I'm left-handed, so when I do freehand on my left hand, it's not going to come out as good. So maybe I want to freehand an M because I want an initial here. So I can freehand it here using this as a guide and then make the decal and plop it onto my nail. And then of some cool little symbols to make it super easy for you to do. Like for me, when I try to hand draw a star, like my whole entire life, when I try to hand draw a star, I look like worse than a preschooler. My stars are like lopsided and whatever. So this is cool. And keep in mind, like obviously you don't have to do it that exact size. You can just use that as a guide and like come in here and do a smaller star just based on this will give you a base for the shape. Same thing like with the heart, or same thing with the butterfly. So this is my nail size, and you can see that that's gonna fit like barely on my nail size. It will definitely fit. The lips are gonna get cut off a little bit, so maybe I just want to make it a little bit smaller, and maybe I'm gonna paint a little bit inside the lines. I love the different ones, and bows are so popular, so I think that's really cute. And you can do this 2 ways. You could put your top coat down over this and then go in and freehand, or you could freehand your design, and then when you're happy with it, you could then put your top coat over it and turn it into a decal that way. And of course you don't have to do a block letter. You can if you want to, but you could just freehand like a D in here, and that way you're going to be able to get it perfect, whatever thickness you want, and then a little bit of polish over it, boom, you've got a decal to put on your nail. So those are the basic features. Of course you can do, you can do all kinds of things for this nail art, and they've got some examples on their website, so check it out there. But I'm going to see if we can't make a cute little glitter bow here and test this out. Okay, so I'm going to start with Zoya Jordan, and can't read that too well, sorry about that. I'm going to throw this right on down here because you can. So I made this a little bit smaller than the bow on the map. And I want to see if I can do something a little bit different and pretty here. And I'm going to add in some heart glitters. So I'm going to put a little of that just to make it easier for me to pick this up with my dotting tool. And I'm going to layer that right on there. And then I'm going to layer this one right on here on this side. And I think that looks pretty cool. You could also put like a different color in the center there. Actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I've got these little hexes just sitting here. I might as well stick a little hex right on there, huh? All right. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and brush over some Sèche Vite so that I can turn this into a decal. And let's see if my theory works. Yes, you can brush right on over it. The reason I'm doing the Sèche Vite second is because I know Sèche Vite tends to dry a little fast and start to peel up when I do nail art on this. Normally I use a different kind of top coat. I use Zoya Cutica when I'm going to do decals. So for this one, because I wanted to use a slightly different method, I'm trying the top coat out second, and we're going to see how that works once that dries. And while that's drying, I want to show you something else that you can do here. So I'm using Zoya polishes. These are all from their Spring Charming collection. So this is Abby and Tina now as well. You can do things like throw down a big bunch of polish here, like you're doing a smoosh mani or something like that. And then mess around. Just do swirls.
Mistake number 1, say watercolor when you mean water marble.
So maybe you don't want to do a whole big watercolor mani, but you can get like a smoosh mani like that. And I'm dripping this on top here. And I'm going to do kind of like a faux water marbly deal with this. And you can let that kind of go into each other, or you can encourage it to go in those blank spaces. And you have sort of like a needle drag or watercolor-ish mani. And then when you let that dry, you're going to have some cool lines there that you can play around with. So you can play around and get all kinds of different effects. And then when it dries, you're going to be able to just pick it right on up.
Mistake number 2, don't wait long enough for your decal to dry.
Okay, so I think this one is dry enough now, so let's see if we can kind of lift this up. Sometimes you want to pick it up with an orange stick. That makes it a little bit easier. There we go. And, oh, it wasn't quite dry, so there's your number 1 lesson, what happens if you take it off if it's not quite dry. And if it starts giving you that pull, don't keep pulling. But I already did a different one, so I've got one on here, so I've got to back up. All right, now let's see if this is done. And hopefully this one's done because I started it before, and it's a little bit thinner. Yeah, that one's done. And see, it pretty much just popped up on its own. So now what I'm going to do is, oh my gosh, look at how cute that is. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. The first thing I'm going to do is trim this down a little bit. All right.
Mistake number 3, use top coat that's way too thick.
Then I'm going to put a little bit of top coat here to allow it to stick, and also to help me kind of even out my little under decal. Right, then I'm going to place this. Sorry, it's a little bit weird because I'm doing it on camera. I'm going to go over it again with another coat of Sèche Vite. And this is an older bottle of Sèche Vite, so another good lesson apparently that I'm learning as I do this is the thinner Sèche Vite works better for this. So if your top coat is thicker, you might want to do a quick little thin.
Use the same color in your base and bow so you won't be able to see your design element.
Alright, so I'm all cleaned up. And I don't know if you ever have seen like reruns from the show Home Improvement. It's about a guy that does home improvement stuff and he always messes things up and he always goes, I did that on purpose to show you how not to do it. So I'm going to pretend now that all of these mistakes that I've just made are just me showing you that, you know, don't peel up too soon. And that's what it looks like when it is too soon. So stop. Don't use top coat that's too thick. Otherwise you'll get a little bit goopy. And maybe don't draw your bow out of the same polish that you're going to use to do your sample smoosh mani. You can see it still, but it's not super obvious. But I will say I really love that beautiful marbly kind of finish on the base polish there. And I do love how that glitter heart bow thing came out. So I really like it, even though there were a lot of mistakes. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. But so you get the point here, how you can use this even to do something cute on the hand that you draw with. So you don't have to worry about having, you know, really nice free-handed art on one hand and then having it look like a preschooler did it on the other hand. If you avoid all of the mistakes I made here. So I love this mat. I mean, I was a huge fan of the other Uber mat. I think mats like this are great, great creative space, and you can play around and do all kinds of different things. Sky's the limit with respect to, you know, if you can think it, you can make it happen. Playing around with glitters and stuff like this, and that's even cooler. You get these little swaths of glitter. It's great. Try your hand at the freehanding and have a blast. So I would say definitely worth the money. Check it out, and I will link it down below. And thanks for watching. Ay, far flippity flammin' flickin' flammin'. Really?